God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us. He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.
Greetings, family. This is your brother Willie Muhammad, and thank you all for tuning in to another broadcast of I Have a Testimony. And today we have a guest with us, my brother. When I go to the city of Atlanta, this is where I go to get fresh. When I talk about get fresh, that means to get into that barber chair and get my hair done just right. And I went to him, excuse my language, but it was Saturday. And if you look at me right now, it looks like I just left the barber shop on yesterday, but I didn't. And that really shows that we have somebody that can really cut hair. So you may know him if you're in the city of Atlanta in miles number 15, and even around the nation, you may know our brother. But let's bring up our brother, brother Rashaad Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, my brother.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
And thank you for this opportunity, man, for providing us this opportunity. We can have you as a guest on our show. And so I like to get straight down to the actual interview. And I start off by asking all of my guests this question because I love the fact that I can be able to hear these powerful testimonies. So I'd like to start off with you sharing with our viewers, how did you come to learn about the teachings of the Most High Elijah Muhammad and then actually accept and become a member of the Nation of Islam?
Yes, sir. It was about 1992. I was in Atlanta doing my thing, and my cousin was in Alabama studying in college, and he was studying Islam while he was in college. And as I was getting in trouble, my mother was like, "You need to go, whatever your cousin's doing, whatever Frank's doing, that's what you need to be doing that." And I'm like, "Right, okay, yeah, not my speed." So when Frank comes home, my mother clearly had talked to him, and he had come pick me up, and he just went to the mosque. And while he's at the mosque, he left me in the car 5 minutes, 10 minutes. He don't tell me we're going to the mosque. He just pulls up to the mosque, and he leaves me at the mosque. I mean, he leaves me out there, and I'm kind of frustrated, and I got a little bit of an attitude problem when I was young, So I get out, and I go to the door, and they searched me so fast and set me so fast that I didn't really know what was going on. And my cousin was too far away from me to get his attention and be like, "Let's go." So I'm sitting in this meeting, I'm frustrated, I'm not really paying attention, I'm ready to go. I'm a little high, I'm not really, I'm not feeling this. But while I'm sitting there, little tidbits kept hitting me, and these people say the white man, the devil, and don't eat pork, and all these little things was hitting me, but I'm like, no, I ain't with that. We from the country, man. My mom, we was eating pork 3 times a day and skins for snacks. You know what I'm saying? So that wasn't registering. So I told my cousin when we got back in the car, he said, "Man, well, how you like it?" I said, "Man, I'm going to tell grandma you done joined the cult." And he was like, "Man, this ain't no cult." I'm like, "Nah, bro, these people talking about white folk devils and don't eat pork. Man, we've been eating pork all our life, the whole spiel." And he said, "No," he said, "I tell you what." He said, "If you come back one day when you can focus and, give it the attention it needs, if you still feel like I joined the cult, you can tell grandma whatever you want to tell her." I'm like, "Okay, run it." So that next week I went back on a Sunday. I think the first time was like a Wednesday night meeting. So this was like a Sunday. I go, and clearly it's a packed house, and, and I'm sitting there and I'm listening to the message, and it's making a lot more sense, clearly, because now I'm not, frustrated and ready to go. And it's making sense, but, I'm still, this is new to me. Nobody ever told me about, the Caucasian, the revelation of the Caucasian and the pork. So after the meeting, they doing question and answer. So I raised my hand up to ask the question about pork. because that was like real big to me. I just didn't understand it. You know, my mother feed me pork. My grandmother feed me pork. Well, why y'all saying we can't eat pork, right? So Brother Van, he brushes me off to another brother. I mean, he did it so like, that's the best question you can come with, brother. You know, it was almost disrespectful, like, right? So the brother wrote down on a piece of paper the scriptures that said that you shouldn't eat pork. Fast forward, a couple weeks go by. You know, I'm not really running with Frank because I know what he's about. I know what he's gonna do. And but I'm at home and I'm, you know, in my room doing my thing. And I said, oh, I told that man I was gonna read those scriptures. So, you know, I'm like, Mama, where the Bible at? She's like, it's in there somewhere. You know, you gotta find it. It was in that dusty, you know, her room. And I went and got the dusty Bible out of her room because we wasn't that kind of family, right? And when I read it, it said that you should not eat the swine and you should not even touch the swine. I'm like, Mom, did you know this was in the Bible? And my mother kind of blew it off like, boy, everybody know that's in the Bible. And I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. You ragging me every day about what I'm doing not right, but you know this don't eat pork is in the Bible. I couldn't understand that, right? So I'm mad. We almost get in an argument about pork. I go back to my room, brother, and I'm sitting there, and at that time they were running a commercial on TV that said, pork, the other white meat. And when that commercial ran, it like rung a bell for me. I said, man, if those Muslims are right about pork, maybe they right about other stuff, the white man and all this other stuff. I got to find out what they teaching. So immediately I went and called my cousin, Frank, who never joined the nation. He was just studying. He never joined the nation. And I called my cousin. I said, hey, man, these Muslims know something. He said, why you say that? I said, man, because I read the Bible. It said we shouldn't eat pork. So I immediately stopped eating pork. And I began to go out to the meetings. And that was around September, I guess. But at that time, we were having you had Savior's Day in February and we had Savior's Day in October. And I don't know if you remember, but October '92 was in Atlanta. So the vibe that was around the mosque was like over the top. Everybody getting ready for Savior's Day. And, you know, at that time, the Supreme Captain was coming in, you know, making sure the tickets were moving. And even though we had Brother Captain Sadiq, Brother Captain Curtis was called in as the director, you know, moving the men around for the event. And we wind up almost outselling the World Series that year. And in that lecture, which was Torchlight for America, the first time I had ever seen Minister Farrakhan in person, and listening to that lecture, brother, I heard a voice in my head say, this is what you're going to do for the rest of your life. So by February, I wanted to be registered before Savior's Day. So February 21st, 1993, I became a registered member of the Nation of Islam.
Wow. So I've heard the minister talk about that before, where that lecture that he did, that there were more people in attendance at that lecture than there was at the World Series.
At the World Series going on simultaneously.
And see, this is why it's good to do these type of interviews, because now we have people like you are first in history. They say a first person
First-hand account.
Yeah, like you were there, and when that happened. So this is also when because you mentioned to me earlier that you were only like 3 months in to being a registered member, where you had the opportunity to meet the minister.
Right. Well, shortly thereafter, the dome, I came in, you know, and I came in because I didn't have, I came in at an age where, you know, I was just so free. I didn't have any responsibilities. I didn't have any, you know, anything. So I was all in. You know, I'm at the mosque when the door opened. I'm there when it closed. You know, matter of fact, at that time, Minister Van, we had the mosque, we had a restaurant on 880 MLK, and we had a restaurant on Washington Road. So there was, at that time, the task force was functioning, and I was under the task force, and we would go to the mosque, clean the mosque, leave the mosque, go clean the 880 restaurant, go leave 880 restaurant, go clean the Washington Road restaurant, go wake up the next morning, go soldier and do it all over again. So that's just the kind of spirit I came in with. And so Minister Van, like I said, I'm in about 3-4 months. He said, you know what? I want you to be the youth minister. And I'm like, okay. I'm barely knowing the teachings, but I'm working. And he was like, I want you to be the youth minister. And so Minister Farrakhan was going to, I think it was Sister Colliday's graduation at Tuskegee. And when they flew into Hartsville, the Maynard at that time, and the Brother Van says, I want you to sit right here. And all the brothers are on post. He's putting brothers, they're putting brothers on post. He said, but I want you to sit right here. So I'm like, why you got me sitting over here in the corner? I want to be on post with the brothers, He had me sitting in this little secluded corner. Well, lo and behold, here comes Minister Van, Minister Farrakhan, and Brother Mustafa, Brother Supreme Captain Mustafa. I'm like, just star-studded, didn't know what to say. Just trying to, hold my military bearing, right? And so they sat there and they talked, and as it was time for the minister to leave, Minister Van introduces me. He said, this is Brother Richard. He's the youth minister of the mosque. And so the minister grabbed my hand, and we walked at that time, you could walk to the gate of the plane. And he was asking me questions about myself. And as we got to the plane, just kept shaking my hand and said, well, brother, just stay strong. Brother, we need you. I need you. Just stay strong. I need you. And brother, that blew my mind, brother, to be that young in and be, 3 months in and to get because brothers who were on the details, like, man, you got to meet the minister? And I'm like, yeah. Like a Forrest Gump moment.
And you came in, when you look back at where you are now, and you look back at the level of commitment you had in your early inception in the nation, working every day like that, how has that experience and that commitment played a role in keeping you as grounded as you are today?
Oh, brother. Well, I say it like this. I always use Forrest Gump as an example. I've had like a Forrest Gump Nation of Islam experience. Because like I say, shortly thereafter, Brother Curtis came to the city, and I became a part of his staff. He was a regional captain, and I'm on the regional captain's staff. So with that, I got a lot of work. I got to move a lot. And at that time, you got to think, this is post-internet, post-social media. So, everywhere the minister was, we were. And it got to be to a point where I was just around the E-team, around the Supreme, around the minister so much that just, I was in pocket. This is what we do. It wasn't like something it wasn't like a organization or a church for me, because, this was like, this is my life. This is what I do. I was all in. Matter of fact, until my mother passed away, my mother called me Brother Richard. My mother called me by Brother Richard until she passed.
Wow. Isn't that something that means it was really ingrained in you? And I thought it was interesting. Like you said, all of this took place before the social media and all of the internet stuff that we have. Like, also, I thought that was interesting, like with your cousin, how like he brought you to the mosque.
Yes, sir.
But you were the one that ended up getting registered, and like how Allah has a way when he wants someone.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I thank Allah for him, and I thank Allah that he, he chose me by Allah's grace, But yeah, that was pretty much how I got so locked and loaded. Then you got to think now, serving under Brother Curtis for his tenure, and then to have the former Supreme Captain become the regional minister and work on his staff, man, this is just what we do. I don't have, and at this point, I've been registered longer than I wasn't registered in my life. So you see what I'm saying? So this is what we do, man. This is who we are.
You didn't flip it over. You've been a Muslim and knowing yourself, and that's beautiful. You mentioned two people, and I've always heard about Brother Van, because you probably know this brother I'm going to mention. He's from New Orleans, Brother Brian. He's from New Orleans, and he ended up going to school in Atlanta. He was the captain in New Orleans.
Brother Brian, yes, I know Brother Brian.
Yeah, now he's the first officer in Houston, right?
Yes, sir. I know Brother Brian well.
He would always speak about Brother Van. How was he as a regional minister? Because he was a regional minister at that time.
Yes, he was a regional minister. Now, again, his tenure wasn't long, because I came in October, which was the Dome, and Minister Jamil came shortly after the Dome. He was installed. So, I worked well with Minister Van. We had a great relationship, and brother was He's a Muslim through and through. His family,
Mm-hmm.
you know, he was very family oriented, man. You
Mm-hmm.
know, Minister Van, I remember he was funny. He always believed in dressing. Hey man, you got to dress and you got to make some money.
Mm-hmm.
You got to dress, you got to make some money. You ain't gonna be no Muslim. You're not gonna be shabby, and you ain't gonna be broke. You know, that was his way. He was from Ohio, and he was just a good brother, man. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting, brother. If I'm not mistaken, brother Jamil is originally from Ohio. If I'm not mistaken, I
I thought he
think.
was from Cleveland. Was he from Cleveland?
Yeah, Ohio, Cleveland,
Cleveland High, right?
Ohio.
You're right. Cleveland High,
Yeah.
right?
So
Yeah.
how was
So
he? How was he as a minister as well?
let me tell you something. Minister Jamil, that was my first time, I want to say, I witnessed genius, because Minister Jamil has a photographic memory. First off, there's almost no subject you can talk about that he don't know something about, and he just has a way with people. No matter where you went, you know, he just, man, we could be somebody's backyard and they just loving brother Minister Jamil, or we can be in, you know, the state capitol and they loving brother. So he was a wonderful regional minister, man. I really love serving with him too. Yes, sir.
And you know, brother Jamil plays a role in the history of the Nation of Islam in New Orleans as well. He was the minister here as well, and still today, brother Jamil can come back and meet people, remember their name.
Yes.
He can do the accent if he decides to do it.
Yes.
And he's very. That's one of the things I admire about him, and I want to learn how to remember people's names, right, and their faces and stuff like that.
Sir.
You also mentioned our brother Curtis. How was that training under brother Curtis?
Let me tell you, man, I thank Allah for Brother Curtis. Brother Curtis, you know, they say ministers inspire you, but captains make you Muslim. And it was Brother Curtis' drive, it was Brother Curtis' correction that made me a Muslim, you know, because you got to think, I'm a young man when he came, and Brother Curtis used to keep us working so long and so late. That later I asked him, man, why you would keep us like that? And he'd be like, because if I let you go, you get in trouble. So you was with me. I knew you was gonna be working. So I thank Allah for that type of man. You know, he drove us, brother. And he was the one that, again, whenever we were places, he was always pushing us to get in the minister's presence, get in the supreme presence, go on in there. You know, we was like, oh no, you know, that's above us, you know, and he was like, no, go in the room. And that's how, you know, we really got familiar with the operation of our nation. Rolling with Brother Curtis, man.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing those stories and see, we able to capture that history, man. I appreciate that. When we were in Atlanta at the barbershop, you also mentioned how you were, during your time of Atlanta, that many of some of our now national laborers and members of the executive board came through there. Can you talk about some of those, Brother Wesley, Brother Saad, and what were those memories and experiences like?
Yes, sir, man. I tell you, brother, Atlanta's a very special place, man. It's a very special place, and I remember, you know, like I told you, I came in and I had not desired to be anything. I didn't have any, you know, I didn't want to be no doctor, lawyer. I just wanted to be a member of this nation, you know, operation in this nation. So I came in that early in my life. Now, at that time, brother Dr. Wesley was a college student. Brother Saad was a college student. And brother Bernard Kushmir was a college student. And we had a lot of college students. And the word had come down to leave them alone. Don't pressure them about the final calls. And, you know, I'm a young lieutenant at the time. And so, you know, they putting young people with young people. And I'm like, man, look, bro, y'all got to carry these papers. Y'all got to carry this paper. And I remember Brother Saad, because he would be so cool. He wouldn't get upset. You know, he'd be like, no, brother, Minister Farrakhan said that we don't have to do that right now. We got to focus on our schoolwork, brother. And man, you know, me being a young, dumb lieutenant, you know, I'm over there dropping papers off at their house and, you know, just craziness. But they were, I lived long enough to see the jewels that they became by the minister's wisdom of leave them alone. You know, I think that's a testament to his wisdom. No, leave them alone. They got a work to do. But right now, let them have this. And man, I'm so glad that they did, because they have been great assets to our nation.
Think about that, man. And that some, you know, we all mature, we all grow, we go through that clock stage. But look at them now, what
Yes,
brother
sir. Yes, sir.
brother Saad has done with the NOI program, uh, various legal court battles, one against the
Come
most
on,
recent
man.
one,
Come
a
on, man.
magnificent teacher, the books that he has written, and help with that forward motion. And that is the thing. Now, you are a barber. How did you
Yes, sir.
begin to start becoming? How did you get into that profession?
Okay, again, like I told you, when I came into the mosque, I was, just a young Atlanta cat. You know what I mean, doing what I do. And at that time, I don't know if you know Sister Regional Captain Nuseba, who at
Yes.
that time her name was Sister LaShonda. Her
Mhm.
husband, Brother Darrell, who was the local
Okay.
captain at that time,
Mm.
he opened a barbershop. So me being a Muslim, go to the barbershop. You go to his barbershop. And I have, the brother Captain Darrell at that time told me, he said, man, listen, you're going to be around here, you got to find a job, you got to make a job, but you can't be hanging in the streets and doing that type of thing. So Brother Darrell, I went and got me a little job, and brother, I mean, they was working me like I had never worked before. And they took a third of my money in taxes. And brother, I was at that point ready to leave the mosque. I just had made up my mind, like, man, I can't do this. I ain't gonna be able to do this. This is how people are surviving. That
Mm.
wasn't my reality. So I went to the barbershop. I'm about to get my hair cut. And Brother Darrell was like, man, you don't seem to be your upbeat self today, Brother Rick. And I was like, nah, man, I don't think I'm gonna be able to be a Muslim. And he like, why? And I'm like, man, I went got my check, man. I'm working. This ain't no money, man. I ain't gonna be able to do this. And he said, well, you got a trade? I was like, man, I ain't got no trade. He was like, well, he said, why don't you learn how to cut hair? Now, mind you, at this time, he has a barbershop. He got one chair in his barbershop, his chair. He had just opened the shop, one chair. And the floor, he had just had the floor done and his one chair. He said, man, you ever thought about barber? I'm like, man, I ain't finna mess up nobody out. Nah, man, I ain't finna do that. He was like, no, brother. He's like, I can teach you. I was like, I don't know, man. Brother Darrell reaches in his pocket and he had a wad of money in his pocket. I was like, talking my language. He was like, well, I'm gonna give you these clippers. He said, you come back, I'm gonna have a chair here, and I'm gonna start teaching you how to cut hair. And brother, by Allah's grace, I have been able to take care of myself and my family from that brother's generosity.
Man,
From that day to this one, I've been barbering.
now that's a beautiful story, man, and it's real because sometimes when we see people leave the mosque, we may think it's an issue with the faith or whatever, but sometimes it's that challenge of the challenges
Culture
that this
shock.
life presents us. But to be able to hear that and like to how you navigated that. Thank you for sharing that. Now like I know, barbers is one of the places where all type of debates go down.
Yes,
You
sir.
could debate about football, movies, the beauty of women, who's the best artist, Jay-Z, Nas, or
All
Biggie,
that.
everything, religion, and you get people that come in knowledgeable. Some people just talking, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And now you are a member of the Nation of Islam and you are a barber. How has that experience been as a barber in the barber shops?
Man, let me tell you, that's been a journey. That's been a journey because I remember in my younger days, like you say, the debates, and you get this Islam. It's like a fire, so you want to teach and tell everybody. The barbershop, my chair was my rostrum. So you know what I'm saying. So we in there, going at it all the time for a long time until I got older, and what happened? What happens is eventually I noticed that people were more into me than of me preaching to them. So I did less preaching and more of just being a good Muslim, a good example. And that has been the success for me in the barber industry. Because you got to think, everybody wants to live a good life. Not everybody knows how to do it, and not everybody thinks they can do it, but that's what the minister does for. He's an example. when they got an example that it can be done, that makes it a lot easier. The conversation goes over a lot easier than us fussing and cussing across the shop.
Mm-hmm.
I had a brother who was a real Bible thumper. He was another barber, right? And this brother, man, he would come in every day. We was going at it. This was about 10 years ago. We was going at it. I'm talking about crazy. And one day he got sick. He was making all these pork jokes and, alcohol jokes. And one day he was sick, and he called me on the phone. He said, Brother Rich, man, I ain't feeling good. I said, well, what's going on? He said, man, I went to the doctor. He said, my blood pressure is extremely high. I said, well, what did you eat? He said, man, I had some pork. I said, well, that's probably the problem, brother. That's probably what's going on. And he said, man, well, look, I need you to get me that book. I said, well, I'll get you the book, brother. I'll bring it to work tomorrow. And I brought him the How to Eat to Live book. And I suggested some things from the book to him to start immediately. And when brother's blood pressure got under control, and he was able to get that medication back to the doctor, this brother came to me. He said, man, I'm changing my name to Abu. I said, you changing your name? You're like, yeah. He said, I ain't ready to join the nation yet, bro. He said, but something that they was teaching us over there in that church ain't right. He said, brother, that changed my life.
Mm.
So the example is a lot better than the preaching. Them having somebody that they can put hands on and walk them through this thing.
Listen.
I think I lost.
Great example, man. And you go from there because, like, when people come to the barber, brother, it's just something about that chair just makes you relax. It makes you rest, and the barber has like an intimate relationship with that client, and people begin to start sharing what they have been going through. Right? How has Islam allowed you to be able to provide guidance to your clients that help them in their life?
Oh, brother. Well, for me, it's so wonderful, brother, because, again, like I said, I didn't go to secondary school. I didn't go to college or anything. But if you could repeat the words given to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the words given to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the words that you hear from the scholars of our nation, the ministers of our nation, if you can repeat those good things to the people, you don't have to think of it. All you got to do is repeat what you know is good and right.
Mm-hmm.
And brother, that's been my success. Just to be able to give that kind of advice, and then you got to think, to be raised under men who have worked so closely with the minister. Whenever I don't have an answer, I still have people in my midst that I can get an answer from.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy work for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I just put some rims on it.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things you told me when we were there Saturday, that's right in line with what you said, how you begin to start realizing it's more about how we interact and so much about the teaching. You talked about what you do in the neighborhood outside of the chair, because you say right in that area where you were, where the shop is, it was like one of the highest crime rates and murder rates, right, in Atlanta. But you talked about how you go there and you form relationships, kind of like what the minister said he did when he was a minister in New York. He would get up and go shake everybody's hand. Can you talk about how you have done that and the impact that it has?
Well, two things. First, when Minister Farrakhan said he was the minister over New York, he would walk amongst the people and greet the people and talk to the people, no matter what level of life they were on. I don't care if you use drugs or nothing. I'm going to have a personal relationship with you. I'm going to know something about you. I'm going to know something about how you got to this place. I'm going to know something, what can I do to help you? And I do that no matter who I come across in my neighborhood. I make sure I do that. If you're a stranger in my neighborhood, I'm going to know you're not from around here, because I greet these people. I know these people, and I'm that ingrained into my neighborhood. Secondly is when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan asked us to do the 10,000 fearless. Like I said, again, I'm blessed to work closely with Student Minister Abdul Sharif Muhammad, who is the national director of the 10,000 fearless. So I've seen how he wanted us to make sure we go out and stay out in the community. So we go out and we stay out in the community. We feed the community. He said, because when the enemy attacks us, if they don't know us, they're not going to come to our aid like the people did in New York when the enemy attacked the New York mosque. They came to the minister's aid because the minister was ingrained into the people.
Mm-hmm.
So I took that as an example, and that's what I do. We make sure we feed them, we make sure we clothe them, we make sure we be whatever we can be. You know, if it ain't nothing but buy you a cup of coffee, I'm gonna do that because that's what we're taught to do. You know, a lot of us, you know, we think we have to do these monumental things. And I've seen giants, you know, I've been here since Minister Rahman have come through here. I've been here, I saw Minister uh, B.I. You know, these are great ministers and they've given great lectures. But what the people remember is their interactions with them. They can't tell you those lectures. They can't, you know, quote those lectures word for word, but they remember, hey, Minister Rahman did this for me. Minister B.I. did that for me. So I think that's, you know, that's the example that I take. I take now. I'm gonna be hands-on, man. We're gonna get out here and we're gonna, you know, and like I said, when the brothers in the neighborhood who are the killers and the murderers and the drug dealers, when they see, brother, I'm not judging you. I don't agree with what you're doing, but I ain't judging you, bro. You my brother. I don't care what you're doing, you my brother. They respect that. And I can call them to calmness when other people can't.
Mm-hmm.
And the way we found out that it's actually called Myrtle Drive. I'm on Campbellton Road. Everybody know Campbellton Road from the T.I. songs and the Jeezy songs.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a little street that's off the beaten path called Myrtle. And when Minister Farrakhan came down to do, Who Are the Real Children of Israel, I think was the lecture. The mayor told him that Myrtle was the murder capital of Atlanta. That they was finding bodies all the time on Myrtle. And man, it has slowed down, but it ain't stopped. But that's how we get involved, man, and we you know, we're trying to show them something different. You know, the fact that I'm getting to the point where I used to dress comfortable going to work, but now I made a decision to dress like we're taught. And I'm noticing it's getting more attention and more traction because the people see something different, they're attracted to something different, and it's making them look at themselves a little different.
Beautiful. We're going to pause for 1 second. I want to just go through some announcements and we're going to get right back. So listen, I hope you all are enjoying the interview by our brother Rashaad Muhammad. He's dropping jewels. Just some brief commercials. One, if you have a business or anything that you're interested in and you would like to promote it on this show, hit us up, right? Send an email to that email there, or you can reach out to me directly at on social media so we can find out. The prices are very, very affordable. Also, if there's some individuals that you think that we should interview and you think they will be a good guest, you know, you're going to see the link in the description. Just put their name and their information and we'll go out to do so and see about them being an actual guest. Also, we have this, you know, this is the testimony reflection guide, and it's only $1, family, $1, right? So if you're interested in supporting this initiative, it's only $1. I'm not going to mention a bunch of stuff that we spend it on, but it can help you to learn and use these interviews to help grow you as a Muslim or just a believer in God. If you're interested in getting one of them, you'll see the link, and the link is actually in the description as well. So now we're going to get back to our dynamic testimony with our brother Rashaad, who's dropped some stuff. You know, Brother Rashaad, often when I do these interviews, I don't really go back and watch them, but as of late, I have, and it's just amazing just to see like what is shared from our guests. And you have shared some stuff that people can actually learn and mature. Now we, you know, in our Islam, right? Now we want to get to this because you shared this. I'm going to pull up this image. This is, you all know who's in that chair, and that is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So, Brother Rashaad, can you tell us how this moment came about?
Yes, sir. Well, I'm thinking this was around that same time of the Who Are the Real Children of Israel. I want to say that's what time this was. But nevertheless, Minister Farrakhan had visited Atlanta, and we have the Blue Seas. No. This is with Gods in the Bluff. This is what time that was. When we had first opened the headquarters of the 10,000 Fearless in Atlanta, and the minister wanted to go to the Bluff to see it himself. The Bluff is one of the roughest areas in Atlanta. I don't know if you all saw the movie Snow in the Bluff. It should give you an idea of what type of, given what type of area that we had put the 10,000 Fearless headquarters in. Well, the minister had come to the city, but at the same time that we had the headquarters, we opened a Blue Seas restaurant on DeLoe and Campbellton, which is the area that not far from where we were when you came to the barbershop. And when the minister was in the Blue Seas and he was eating, and I mean, he's just loving it, and he's just in such a jovial mood. Minister Sharif tells him, he said, well, the brothers also own the barbershop next door. And the minister said, well, when I finish eating, I'm going next door to the barbershop. And me and myself and brother Iquan, who you see in the picture, and brother Q, we were like, we're going to the barbershop. So we rushed to the barbershop, make sure it's able to receive the minister. And he made his word bond. When he finished eating, man, he come by the barbershop and he told us things of how to carry ourselves as a barber. And he told us to take that picture. He said, take a picture, brother. He said, and put it on the wall. He said, and when the people see that I came here, they'll keep coming here. And we did just that, brother. We blew that picture up so big. It was a poster. And we had this big poster in glass in the barbershop. And people, every time people would come, they'd be like, Minister Farrakhan came here? And we'd be like, yes, he did. So that's how that picture came about.
Beautiful. And you've had the opportunity to be around the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on security details when he comes to Atlanta. How's that experience been?
Brother, I say it like this. I don't know about other people, but for me, one of the greatest things I have ever accomplished in my life was to identify the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan before God's destruction come, and I'm forced to submit. That is to identify this is God's man, not miss. You don't take no interaction lightly, because he'll say things to you that you don't even know 10, 20 years to crack something in you. So anytime to be in his presence, and by Allah's grace, I had a lot of time to be around and see a lot of things. So that shapes the way I deal with people, because of the way I see him deal with people. One time we were in Boca Raton with the minister. It was only a selected few of us who were able to go on the security detail. And the only blacks that were on the resort was Minister Farrakhan and his delegation, whoever came with him, and Don King and Mike Tyson. So if you saw anybody of color on that, 9 times out of 10, they was with, you know what I'm saying? They was with 1 or 2 of those delegations, right? So, but to fast forward, there was this Caucasian man, and the way I saw the minister talking to him was so respectful. And so, and he was like, Minister Farrakhan, I heard about your violin, and I heard he's running down the minister's, accolades. He said, well, do you play tennis? And the minister says, no, I don't play tennis. And the white man, I don't know if he was trying to be smart or just, it was just like, he was like, there's something that we can beat you at then. But he was really just enamored by the minister. And I just watched how the minister dealt with him. And, a lot of times we get that cognitive dissonance. Is that how I say that, cognitive?
Yeah.
We get that, we teach the white man the devil, so we feel like, I ain't got nothing to do with no white people. But really, in truth, no matter who they are, no matter what comes, we are Muslims. So we teach and we treat everybody civilized. I don't care who they are. And that's what I got in that moment. I said, look how gentle the minister was with this man, talking with this man, dealing with this man, even though he was a Caucasian. So that was my lesson. That's one of the lessons of being around him. These are the type things you learn. You learn how to be a civilized human being by his example.
Beautiful. And you shared another powerful lesson that you learned from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Can you talk about that when y'all were talking about the brother, y'all joking with the brother, then the minister came out?
Yeah. All right, so we had gone into Canada to receive the minister on security. And brother, at that time, our brother, Don Enoch, had just, kind of come back around, and you see the great work that Brother Don does. Nobody in the entertainment industry don't know Brother Don. Brother Don knows everybody. Everybody loves Brother Don, right? So, And we're in there, we're kind of ragging Don because he's just coming home.
Mm-hmm.
And we beating up on him a little bit, just poking fun his brothers,
Mm-hmm.
And the minister walks into the suite. So everybody tighten up, And the minister sees Don. Minister walks over and gives Don this huge hug. Oh, brother Don. He's just making over Don, right? After we've been dragging him for the last 30 minutes to an hour. The minister's just making over brother Don and how much he loves brother Don. So the minister steps back into the connecting suite and we go back in. Oh, man, nothing, we still going on. And when the minister steps back into the suite and catching us, right? Cuts us off. And he says, let me tell you something. He says, the fact that this brother came home, he said, many of you don't know if you would even make it back. And brother, that stuck with me like iron. You hear me? But that was one of those great moments, the correction, an example. He's like, man, that never left my mind how he did that and how he loved on brother Don. And man, we see brother Don today he's a giant, man.
Mm. Wow. Are there any other examples, any other lessons you learned from any other interactions or things you observed from being around them?
Oh man, it's just so many. That's why I said so many.
Sham, man. Sham is I have a testimony.
Yeah, man. So there's another instance where I'm showing you how big you can be as an individual. I'm being judgmental, right?
Mm.
And so these brothers were gathered at the minister's door, and they're making they're positioning themselves. When he come this way, we're gonna ask him to give us a picture, and X, Y, and Z. And I'm on security, so I don't say anything. But in my mind, I'm saying, now why would they do that? I'm judging them, but don't know why would they do that. Let the minister go. Let the minister do his business, man. Y'all shouldn't do that. So lo and behold, the minister comes out. And when the minister steps into the hallway, they run it down. Brother minister, can we get a picture? Can we get a picture? And the minister says, of course you can get a picture. And I'm like, so I turn around and I start walking down the hallway because I didn't want him to think that I was, I don't like the minister feel like we treat him like a rock star. You know what I'm saying? It's the man of God. You don't treat the man of God like a rock star. So I turn around and I walk down the hall and I get a few steps down the hall and the minister says, brother. Me, sir? He said, yeah, you, brother. He said, you don't want a picture? And I was like, yes, sir, I want a picture. But in that moment, it taught me, man, you be judging people, man, you don't have to do that, brother. You know what I'm saying? I was just elated to get a picture as they were. Mm-hmm. But it was just the fact that, in my own mind, where I was at my development at that time, mm-hmm. opposed to saying, I hope those brothers get their picture. Mm-hmm. I was in a different place. Mm-hmm. And the minister corrected me in a gentle way.
Beautiful. Any other thing? In your memories, any other lessons? Any other thing you can remember?
Let's see. The airport. We did the airport. We did the. Oh man, I don't know. So many things. I mean, I've been around the minister a long time. He's all. I got one. One time, the minister had come to Atlanta. And he used to shop at this store called Bright Creations. And they loved the minister at Bright Creations. And so he wasn't able to stay at the store because he had bought suits and clearly they had to alter them and stuff. And he had gone on to, I think, like Birmingham. And Captain needed somebody to go get these suits and bring them to Birmingham. And man, by Allah's grace, matter of fact, it was me and Don. Me and Don Enoch got the suits. And we took them down to Birmingham. When we get into the suite, and the minister comes out and he looks at the suits. Oh, no, this is one. The minister starts shadow boxing with me, and I'm sitting there like I'm not throwing nothing. I'm not showing any type of aggression. I'm just bobbing and weaving as the minister throws these punches, and I'm like, man, he's in shape. But yeah, that was a very sweet moment with the minister to see him in his natural state. That was very
beautiful, man. And now transition, you're now having the opportunity and experience to be under some more of the great laborers in Islam in the city of Atlanta. Student Regional Captain Brother Oliver Muhammad, Sister Nusaiba, Student Regional MGT Captain, Brother Sean is the Secretary, and Brother Abdul Sharif, and our sister the protocol. I love her
Sabira,
spirit, man.
so Sister Sabira.
Sister Sabira, like, how
Yeah.
is it being under those grace, man, and laboring with them?
Man, I'm gonna tell you, this is the beauty of, everybody. Brother Minister Jabril said everybody has, an alako. I think the term when we was talking one time, he used that term. He says everybody has an alako. Everybody has an attributes that others don't have, or more exaggerated in a particular attribute that others don't have. And I think in Atlanta that has been a benefit for us because there's only so far we can go down because we have the former Supreme Captain as our minister, regional minister. So he knows, and this, when I tell you, I've never met a human being that I believe that loved the minister. This brother loved the minister. He's a Farrakhan man, and I work with him day and night, but I tell you, that's all he thinks about, right? And when you have that kind of personality, it blends over into those who work with you, and that's the way Brother Oliver, and that's the way Sister Nuseba, and they do it for the love of our nation, our people, and our minister. And that makes moving a big ship like Atlanta easy. Makes it look easy, but man, yeah, they all have great personalities, great attributes that they bring to the table. And I've been, again, I came in, me and Sister Nuseba came in kind of around the same time, so I've seen her grow from Vanguard to the Vanguard captain to the regional MGT captain. And I've seen her grow. I've studied martial arts with Sister Sabira's husband, Sijo Steve, and my sister Sabira, and I've seen that family grow. So I've seen, what I'm saying? So I've been able to see them, grow, man, in the last few years, and it is really an honor to say that you soldier with these, to be in the fight with people who they 10 toes down like I'm 10 toes down. It's really a good thing.
Beautiful, man. And as we get ready to wrap it up, we just embarked in 2026. And the album Mr. Louis Farrakhan talks about how we should enter into this year with, changing a new year with a spirit of seriousness and gratitude. When you're looking back at 2025 and you're looking now, what are you most grateful for?
Brother, I am grateful just to be alive, brother. I've lost a lot of family members and friends this year. And I think sometimes we get so caught in the hustle and the bustle that we don't back up and just thank Allah for life. You know what I mean? I've been a lot of places. I've seen a lot of things. I've done a lot of things. But nothing, if you went to a cemetery, there's not one person in that cemetery that wouldn't want to trade places with you, no matter what level of life you're living on. So my 2026 is gratitude for life, man. And my children are doing great. So I'm I have a lot of gratitude to Allah for that. Yeah, man. Now I'm trying to find myself another wife.
Okay.
Not a wife because I've gone through a divorce. But yeah, man, I'm just seeking to have heaven on earth, brother. That's all.
And as you were talking, you made me think about something else that you had shared when I was in the barber chair. I'd like you to talk about it. You talked about what the prayer of somebody who is facing death. Remember you talked about that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you talk about that? I thought that was very interesting.
Yes, sir. By Allah's grace, I was able to be caretaker and bury both of my parents, right? And as one of the first things that really touched me is when my mother was in the hospital, I would sleep on the chair or the couch in the room. And a lot of times, she didn't know this, I have insomnia, so I don't be asleep. I'm just laying there. And she would be praying, brother. And the prayers that she would pray, they wasn't for money. It wasn't for, fame or money or any of those things. She was just praying for life and praying for, for God to bless her children and her grandchildren. And that made me reflect on, man, maybe your priorities might be in the wrong place, because you hear a certain type of sincerity from a person that they ain't got nothing to lose. It's all on the table. You know what I mean? They're at the door. So whatever they're praying for, this is the most sincere that you're going to hear any person almost when they're at death's door. And that's why when I hear the minister's children bear witness that when he was in the hospital and he was not complaining to Allah and he was thanking Allah, brother, I understand that because I went through that with my own parents. And I'm like, man, yeah, brother. So that is something, if you have parents, man, cherish them because it's not forever. If you have friends, cherish them because it's not forever. And in the way that you treat those relationships, it will shape you into a different person. Because I promise you, I'm a different person than prior to losing my parents. Some of my closest friends, definitely a different person. Because you think a lot different when you be like, man, that could have been me. You know, that could have been me in the box. So thank you a lot.
Thank you for that. And I want to close out with two questions. They're kind of similar, but they are different. They're similar, but they're different.
I'm sorry.
You can hear me?
I'm sorry, you're chopping up a little bit.
Oh, I said I want to close out with. Can you hear me now? You hear me?
I can hear me.
Two questions. Last two questions. One, the show is titled "I Have a Testimony," and if you had to give your testimony before the world about what Islam has taught and given to the Most High Elijah Muhammad has done for you, what would that testimony be?